And that's why, for my money, David Johnson's worth every penny in an auction draft. You've got to get him if you can get him. Nick, what do you think?
I think you might have forgotten someone, Frank.
Well, sure, Le'Veon Bell, great running back.
Le'Veon Bell is great, but he's no Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Well, sure, but we're talking fantasy football here.
Yeah, Frank, and the key word being fantasy. We're assembling a fantasy football team. There's no better player than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Where are you going with this, Nick?
Folks, if you want to dominate your league, forget the so-called professional athletes who accrue stats and play on teams. You're going to want Dwayne "The Rock" Johnsons. Lots of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnsons. Understand, Frank?
I'm not sure about the air quotes there. Frank is my actual name. So.
Good. Then let's draft. Any fantasy wizard worth his salt knows the most important player on your fantasy team is the running back. The running back is literally the front line in the war of the gridiron. So obviously for our first pick, we're drafting Zeus's favorite son, Hercules.
Actually, Zeus's favorite son is Apollo, I believe.
Well, check your mythological lore because you sound like a dumb piece of shit. Hercules was not only Zeus's favorite son, like every great running back, he was an intimidating warrior who changed the game every time he stepped on the field. Dude beat a lion to death and wore his face as a hat. Did David Johnson ever do that? Did he?
Not to my knowledge.
That would be a no, Frank. A lion would rip David Johnson apart, and you know it. That's the thing that you said, and you lied about it, but you said it anyway. On to quarterbacks. The quarterback is the fearless leader of the team, the guy who gets the job done no matter who is trying to sack him, a role model on the team that other players can look up to. I mean, we all know who I'm talking about. Do I even need to keep going on? Right?
No.
I'm obviously talking about drafting Hobbs from the Fast and the Furious franchise. There is no other choice for QB1. Hobbs is the ultimate team leader who you can always count on to get you that win.
Wait a minute. Didn't The Rock play a quarterback in the game plan?
Shut your mouth, Frank. Just shut your fucking mouth. Joe Kingman from the game plan is an excellent QB2, but his offensive line is suspect and a liability at worst. You're supposed to be a professional, Frank.
Well, you're going to judge a quarterback on his offense. This is insane. What?
Oh, is it? Well, let's see if ESPN senior fantasy analyst Matthew Berry thinks this is insane.
Gotta agree with Nick here. Hobbs all the way. I mean, maybe the Scorpion King if you're in a 2-quarterback league. You're an idiot, Frank.
Yes, thank you, Matthew. On to kicker. The kicker is probably the most underrated position you can have in fantasy football. You literally have to have a screw loose to handle the pressures kickers face every day at the end of a close game. And that's why we're drafting the most unhinged person in this year's draft class, Paul Doyle from Pain and Gain. Paul is a certifiable wild card who is incredibly hard to control, but he's also not going to blink an eye when 70,000 people are screaming at the top of their lungs as he lines up for that extra point. Plus, he loves cocaine. On to defense. It's team defense, so you're going to want to get an entire team of rocks at your disposal, like Spencer Strassmore from Ballers, duh, or Bob Stone from Central Intelligence. Roadblock from G.I. Joe's a good one, and Chris Vaughn from Walking Tall and his trusty 2x4. Don't forget Rocky Maivia when he was still a smiling good guy, but people booed him because they were dicks. And Fanny Pack Rock, and Puberty Rock, and Be Cool Rock, and Oscars Rock. And finally, John Matthews from Stitch, because Stitches, like opposing offense players, get stitches. This is especially valuable in PPR leagues, which of course stands for Points Per Rock. Anything to add, Frank?
I think you should talk to a psychologist.
It doesn't matter what you think. Good luck in your drafts, everybody, and make sure your team rocks. Good night.
Of course, we still have 18 minutes left in the show, so after the break, we'll get Nick's picks for the college football playoff. Stick around if you hate yourself.